I'm Steve Barnes from the Times-Union, and I'm here with two advocates on either side of the debate about takeout alcohol sales from bars and restaurants potentially becoming permanent in New York State. Let's say hello to an opponent of the measure, Michael Correra, who is executive director of the Metropolitan Package Store Association, which represents 3,500 wine and liquor shops, mostly in the New York City area. Hello, Michael.
Hello.
And also joining us is Scott Wexler, executive director since 1985 of the Empire State Restaurant and Tavern Association with 3,000 members statewide. Welcome, Scott.
Thanks, Steve.
As you guys know, takeout alcohol is being pushed by Governor Kathy Hochul in a way that no previous governor has. For decades, restaurant customers could buy only beer to take out, but frankly, it didn't really happen because it was a lot more inexpensive elsewhere. Under a change that's included in the governor's executive budget that is due to be passed by April 1st, bars and restaurants would be allowed to sell, as they were during the pandemic, anything that they're currently licensed to sell. A lot still needs to be worked out, including whether it be individual servings or whole bottles of spirits, and whether food would need to be included in these orders for takeout and or delivery. I'll give each of you 90 seconds to make an opening statement. After that, I'll ask questions and we'll have a conversation lasting about 15 minutes. Let's start with Michael of the Package Store Association. Michael, your group has long been opposed to takeout alcohol from bars and restaurants. Make your case. You have 90 seconds.
Sure. My name is Michael Correra. I'm a small businessman. I own a wine and liquor store in Brooklyn, New York with 12 employees. As executive director of the Metropolitan Package Store Association, I'm looking out for the interests of New York's 3,500 plus small wine and liquor stores, small mom and pop, individually owned, some minority immigrant families, owners as well. With the governor's to-go proposal, it creates a dangerous reality for these small businesses, that their ability to sell wine and spirits will be at risk. We do not want to be on the opposing side of neighborhood restaurants and bars. This should not be about small business against small business. However, the reality is that there's some mega chains out there who will be radically increase their profits by selling alcohol. When these establishments take out only, all restaurants and bars, it was a means to boost their take at the cash register. But that was only when they lost indoor dining. Now that they've got their customers back in the restaurant seats, they naturally don't want to forego extra revenue and profit margins coming in. While we don't blame them for that, it cuts remarkably into community wine and liquor store sales and our customer base. There are hundreds of thousands of prepared food sellers across New York State. Bodegas, delis, supermarkets, pizza shops, sushi, bagel stores. How about the Pizza Huts, the Chipotles, the Nathans, the Wawas, all sorts of things. They won't want to be excluded. Where and when will this end?
All right, thank you. And Scott, we'd like to hear from you. And as a reminder, this is your opening statement. We're not looking for a rebuttal at this time to what Michael said. So you have 90 seconds.
Thank you, Steve. Well, I think it's well known and understood that few, if any, industries and their workers were impacted more by the pandemic than the hospitality industry. 2 years after the pandemic began, we're still struggling. Today, employment is still more than 20% below pre-pandemic levels. That's more than 100,000 jobs that we're still looking to bring back. Michael is right. Drinks to go was an economic benefit to our businesses, with as much as 40% of takeout and delivery orders, including alcohol sales. But it was also a hit with our customers and an expectation going forward. You know, I've heard from a number of experts that the pandemic didn't change things, it just sped up change. And certainly one of the changes we've seen increased has been the preponderance of our customers who want to eat more of their restaurant meals at home. We don't want to lose any more of those sales. Drinks to go allows restaurants to preserve those sales. So when you order your chicken parm dinner, you can order a bottle of wine as well. We don't think that'll hurt the liquor stores. We don't think it did hurt the liquor stores. And we look forward to seeing this benefit for all of us.
Thank you. Michael, takeout alcohol has, I think you'll agree, an unprecedented momentum. I've been doing this a long time and I've never seen it like this. And we certainly haven't had a governor come out with the advocacy that this one has. Is it your members' desire to stop it fully, leaving things as they are, or to allow it to be introduced with perhaps significant restrictions?
Absolutely would be our desire to stop it. And certainly, just a case in point to what Scott just said, the chicken parm with the Pinot Grigio to go, a bottle, that's one bottle less that a retail liquor store sells. You don't drink two bottles because you bought one at the restaurant and then go buy the same bottle. It's just, it's a cash grab from our industry reality. And it's not, I understand that the desire of the restaurant industry to continue that on, but at the end of the day, consumption is not going to increase. Share is just going to be replaced from one entity to another, at the retail liquor stores.
Michael, are you suggesting that if I, as a customer, because restaurants can't possibly price the way liquor stores do. I mean, the tip, even if they discount their pricing, if I go and buy 2 chicken parms and I want a bottle of wine, and on the restaurant list, it's $30 and they'll give it to me for $25, but I can still get it from you for $15. I'm going to stop at your place for $15. I'm not going to take a $10 markup just so I don't have to stop to see Michael.
See, that's the fallacy here. The reality is we're one store, one owner. You're only allowed to buy for one store. Restaurant, if you own 100 restaurants, and there's chains out there in New York State that do, you could buy 1,000 case price of Pinot Grigio, negotiate with a supplier, get a special price, distribute amongst yourself. The reality is that this could happen. A savvy
Michael, with all due respect, Michael,
I saw this happen during the pandemic. Restaurants decided to turn around and adjust to retail pricing. They wanted to be a package store.
Scott, have you got it, Scott? Care to weigh in?
It's really simple. It's really, really simple. Restaurants don't want to be package stores. The evidence that we as an industry don't want that is that we supported legislations that would not allow restaurants to sell full bottles. We'd like to sell full bottles. Our customer want full bottles, but for you to suggest that if someone takes a bottle of wine from a restaurant to go, that means it's a bottle they're not buying at a liquor store. That suggests that every time Steve comes into one of our restaurants, we're competing. If he comes to our restaurant to eat dinner, he's my customer. But if he comes to but you want him to be in your liquor store? And
reality
Michael, you, with all due respect, you raised a specter based on an example that just doesn't match reality. Michael, that 85% of all the liquor and wine sales in New York are sold through package stores. How can restaurants possibly be?
God, what do you think about the pictures of the burger bar at Wegmans where they floor stack Johnny Walker Blue, Italy? I could go on and on. We have a host of restaurants that selling bottles to go, turn themselves into package stores throughout the state during the pandemic. That's a reality. There's a desire to turn their places into a package store restaurant model.
I'm sorry, Michael. I've got to disagree with you there.
The consumer doesn't drink the consumer doesn't drink twice. They drink
no,
once.
But when you mention a Wegmans has really nothing to do with the average restaurant or bar.
Wegmans have restaurants in their 4 walls.
Okay,
so let's ban them. So what if we ban them, Michael? What if we wrote into the law that Wegmans or other grocery stores that are like that couldn't participate in this?
What I would suggest, Scott,
would you be okay with that?
Sit around in a round table instead of seeing something in a budget the way it is, where we have a gun to our head and sit around a table and negotiate this and talk about all the liquor laws that are dated and antiquated, which there's a lot of them.
Please don't dodge the issue. For a year and a half now, there's been legislation pending, and your association, every time legislators or we ask you, What restrictions would you like? What privileges would you like? Your answer is, we don't want any changes, leave things alone.
We're
So you don't
happy
get to
to
come
sit
to the
around
table
and
now
negotiate
after saying
any-
no discussion and then say, oh, we want to have a discussion. So let's have a discussion. Do you support the Simberwitz bill? Which
We
would,
support sitting around the round table and negotiating all ABC laws which are dated. So for instance, you get to buy Blanton's bourbon and Pappy Van Winkle, and you get a full allocation. You get every bottle, and we get 20% of it. These are all dated laws. There's special pricing for restaurants on items like Roof Click.
no, there is not special
Yes,
pricing.
sure there
It's
is.
specifically illegal. And Michael, you're well aware,
I'm in this
you are
business a
well
long
aware
time.
that
You're
liquor stores buy
misinformed.
in much larger quantity than the average bars and
They're
restaurants.
entitled to buy those as well, and they do.
But
Okay,
Joe's
guys,
restaurant can't buy 100
we're
cases of
getting
vodka.
bogged down. We're getting bogged down, guys. Michael, I do want to ask you about some of the rhetoric that your organization has come out with, because immediately after Governor Hochul's most recent press conference, you said that they will, and you said this, reiterated this today, that they will shift to large national chains. But if I look at Albany, Schenectady, and Troy, there are scores of independent liquor stores and scores, if not hundreds, of independent restaurants with alcohol licenses in those cities. And within those three cities, not a single chain restaurant except one Applebee's that I could find.
There's
Are
no
you-
Capital in New York City. There's Capital Grills. There's the Palm, and that may not be the case in Albany, but downstate here, there's Ruth. There's an enormous.
In your
amount of-
neighborhood in Brooklyn, Michael,
there's
what
a
percentage of the
there's a-
restaurants
there's a-
are
there's
local
two
independents
Shake
and what
Shacks within
percentage are chains?
There's 2 Shake Shacks in Stone's Throw of my store.
Well,
in
and
Brooklyn.
you're
There's a ton of-
suggesting
and they
somebody
sell
would,
wine.
you're suggesting somebody would go to a Shake Shack.
You're they could easily, with the way this is written.
Do they have a
and the
liquor
way this
license
is
now?
proposed, this could
Does
easily
Shake
turn
Shack
into
have a liquor license?
Shake Shack sell wine, absolutely.
And they're good, and they're
Absolutely.
going to
They may
sell
not be your
bottles
member,
of wine
but
to
they
go?
sell- They certainly, they're part of the restaurant associations. They're advocating for us, absolutely. It's deep pockets. This is a game changer for our industry.
Hey, Michael, how have your sales been over the last couple of years? According to
Down.
the records we've seen,
Down.
sales have gone up 34% for package stores in the last
Down.
few years.
And you know what's funny? I've been spending a lot of time with suppliers, and all they tell me is the restaurant business is back to normal. Things are booming. Their biggest problem is, just like for retailers, we can't find staff to keep up with all the customers that want to come into the restaurants and bars.
Well, if your sales have gone up 35%, I can
My sales
understand
have
why you're
not
struggling
gone
to staff your stores.
No, that's not the case.
Your sales
Our
haven't
sales
gone
are
up?
down significantly.
Do you have
People
any data?
Actually gone back to buying on premise, which is great.
Do you have any data to support
I
that?
absolutely have data.
So according to the Distilled Spirits Council, in 2020, from 2019 to 2021, off-premise sales went up 34%.
Right.
Now, and on-premise sales are down 27%. Now, we were closed for a portion of that, but in 2021, when restaurants were open for a good deal of time, our sales went up and your sales stayed up. Your liquor sales, off-premise liquor sales in liquor stores have gone from 3.9 billion case depletions in 2019 to 5.2.
Funny, when I read the
million case
status
depletion.
month over month and year over year, retail's market share and sales are down, and restaurants are climbing and growing. So
Well,
Okay.
you're right.
All right,
we can
let's,
sit here and,
guys,
you know,
let's,
if you want to get
guys,
the
let's,
statistics and
again,
analyze.
we're waving statistics at each other. So it is moving along. There is the strong urge from the governor that it be put in place. Michael, are you a little fatalistic that may be something you have to adapt to, or?
Well, we're going to continue to argue our point and speak up for our small business and attempt to prevent this.
Okay.
We are speaking out.
Everybody says this is going to, clearly this conversation illustrates it. This is going to take some compromise. So Michael, if it were going to be legal, what compromises would you be willing to accept for restaurants to be able to sell takeout alcohol?
Like I said, the most important thing, I think we all agree, and I'm sure Scott does too, that our laws are antiquated. This is a dated industry. We're
okay.
happy to sit
There was
down.
a blue chip panel that tried to fix the ABC law several years ago. They met for months and the report was 150, 100 and nothing happened.
Well,
So
with the governor's leadership, I'd love to see that change in the legislative leadership.
What changes would you like?
But specifically, what would you be willing to accept the budget under the budget that is due April 1st?
This is something I came here to talk about, to drinks to go, not to talk about what adjustments we could have to the industry. Like I said, I'd happy for all of us to get together, bring stakeholders together and speak about this issue. This is larger than drinks to go, certainly, but there's a tremendous amount of, for instance, in our state, as opposed to other states, when you buy an item like Bacardi, you can't assort types and flavors. There's a tremendous amount of different issues for the top deal.
What does that have to do with drinks to go?
This would make our industry better for all of us. Let's sit down. It has nothing to do with to go.
Okay.
So let's not talk about what I want. Would like to see change in our industry.
But
The reality is, this is a taking from our cash register to the restaurant's cash register.
Okay,
It's just the
so
bottom line. I can't agree with it.
all right, so unless there's a complete overhaul, you're not willing to discuss what you would accept for takeout
Right.
alcohol. Okay, Scott, are there concessions toward the other side that your association and in general bars and restaurants would be willing to make in order to see this passed under the upcoming budget?
Absolutely. We support the governor's proposal because the way it's written, we think it gives the liquor authority the flexibility that's needed to adjust the policy more restrictive or less restrictive as the case would be. But if there are restrictions that people would be more comfortable with, for example, the restrictions that are in the Simberwitz-Comrie bill, requiring food to be served with alcohol, limiting the hours, limiting the quantities.
The governor came out yesterday right against food. She said, I don't think we need food to go.
I don't speak for the governor. Steve asked me the question. Those are all kinds of reasonable discussions we'd like to have, and we'd sit around and we have made those concessions, but it's hard to negotiate with someone who is unwilling to have a conversation.
What you're asking for is
outside
versus two.
Guys, talking over each other is not helpful. Let's take for the final, take 30 seconds. Scott, you can go first this time. Make the case to the public, and this is strictly about takeout alcohol. Scott, you've got 30 seconds.
Allowing restaurants and bars and taverns to sell alcohol to go is a great income beneficiary to the employees and the businesses, and it's a great convenience for our customers. As we've seen over the last 2 years, liquor stores can thrive, public safety can survive, and everyone can be happy in a new, modern, convenient world.
Thank you. Michael, please make your case. You have 30 seconds.
Thank you. Main streets, there's plenty of empty storefronts, little businesses out of business. This is another attempt at hurting Main Street small businesses. Liquor stores are one of the few stores left on Main Street. We employ people. We protect our neighborhoods. We keep our economies going. Please protect us.
Thank you, guys.